But if we go back 11 years in some cases can be a long time, and 11 years in some cases is really not that long. And we get asked all the time, what's the secret sauce, right? That you two have.
Most originators are just growing up managing their own business, and they're usually just figuring things out on their own. There was so much technicality to this business that, as you've said so many times, you have to have multiple personalities to do it at any high level.
You go out and get real estate agents, and I go out and get real estate agents, but then we quickly discovered, well, why don't you finish the story?
Matt Weaver, the #1 mortgage originator in the United States for most loans closed in 2023 and #1 in the state of Florida from 2020 to present, has spent over 27 years mastering the purchase market, earning more than 16 #1 titles across his career. Max Fisch, 2024's #1 originator in the United States under 30 and #2 in the state of Florida, achieved those titles within just 5 years of entering the mortgage industry, compressing decades of growth into a few extraordinary years. Collectively, they've helped more than 40,000 families purchase their first home. Now partners and looking to improve the industry on a national scale, Matt and Max share their winning formula, team structure, and systems with originators who want to scale from elite to extraordinary levels.
Avi, we're here.
Great to be here. I'm actually in the studio.
You are in the studio. No question about it. I was just thinking about it a little bit earlier today. So we date back to 2014. Does that sound about right?
As partners, yeah. A little before that, working together, but the marriage began at 14.
The marriage began at 14. So we've celebrated 11 years of partnership.
It feels like forever. It feels like forever. And in some instances, it feels like just yesterday.
Yeah.
When you think back at some of the stories and the memories and the victories and the wins, I mean, it's been quite a ride.
It's been a ride. So if we go back in time, if you recall, of course, you were lucky number 13 in terms of the 13th team member, and there's no coincidence there. You taught me there's no such thing as coincidence. So, number 13. Okay. So I remember vividly that I was growing the team. Okay. I got to about 12 people. And it was at that point in time that I'm thinking to myself, I don't think I can take this any further.
Right.
Here I am, a sales guy trying to run a business.
Right.
And I think that the industry, the mortgage side of the industry, of course, that we're in, the biggest challenge I think that a lot of originators have is they're typically salespeople.
Right.
And then they get put in the position of running a business. Now, of course, I got lucky here, lucky number 13. You being the operations person that you are and were back then,
right,
which of course brought us here today with a team of close to 70 people. No chance. I know you're a modest guy, so there's no chance. So I'll say it for you. There's no chance I would have been able to do that on my own as a salesperson. Operations is critical to the process. Operations is critical to scale. So take us back a little bit about how you have that mindset in helping our team scale to where we are today.
Well, you said it right. I mean, most originators are just growing up managing their own business, and they're usually just figuring things out on their own. I saw that over my career. I actually started, if you recall, my history, I started as a processor in the business.
Yeah.
Because I just fell into the mortgage business like most of us do. Didn't know what I wanted. I just learned about the business. It seemed great. I've always had a sales personality. Told everybody what I did, always had big goals of being an entrepreneur and starting a business. And so when I fell in through processing, I saw the back end of what it really takes to close a mortgage loan. And then I get to work with these great loan officers that were great salespeople, but I could tell there was so much technicality to this business that, as you've said so many times, you have to have multiple personalities to do it at any high level. And so as I started growing up on the operations side, I saw what it really takes behind the scenes. And then as I was fortunate to be in a position that I could really grow the company that we were with, the company we met at, ironically, from a small mortgage broker of 10 people to then becoming an independent mortgage banker and growing up the whole retail division and an underwriting department, closing department, I saw what it really takes. And then I saw some of these phenomenal salespeople that were trying to build their own business at the time. And I'll say, just to give you some credit, 'cause I know you don't like to talk about yourself, seeing what you were building over that time versus the typical originator. They would just go out and just try to do everything themselves. and they were limiting themselves on how much they could do. And then seeing you actually build out this team and this team structure, it was inspiring. It really was, because it was so different from the countless loan officers that we worked with. And we had some superstars in that building.
Oh yeah,
If you recall, I mean, some of the top originators even today in this industry.
even to today.
But you just had a different approach, and I always gravitated towards that. And so when I was in my role as, head of retail and head of operations at the company, I just saw that this guy's really onto something, and I wanted to support you in any way. And then as I got to know you personally, I said, wait a minute, there's something really magical here, that I could really take that entrepreneurial spirit that I had and the operations experience that I had and actually marry that together with your phenomenal talents that you had and really build something. And so, gosh, I remember our first meeting about it just till today. And here we are. So it's been quite a ride.
That's right. Here we are. And, if we go back in time there, I mean, so what we're talking about 11 years, I'm 47, you're 46, right? So we're a year apart.
You have a little more gray hair than I.
Well, this is baby powder. Okay. So don't believe it. But if we go back 11 years in some cases can be a long time, and 11 years in some cases is really not that long. But I'll tell you one thing, at least in my opinion, I'm sure you'll agree, that 11 years when you're in self-improvement is like 100 years.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm saying that to say, do you recall when we first partnered together, we had the bright idea of saying, let us both be in sales together. Let us not divide and conquer where operations versus sales. Now, of course, you have a credible knack for sales too, don't get me wrong. But we thought that was the smart thing to do, is to, combine forces, and then you go out and get real estate agents and I go out and get real estate agents. But then we quickly discovered, well, why don't you finish the story?
Well, you said exactly right. So we knew that with my operations experience, I could, of course, help fill that void that you had. But then my desire to be in sales and your desire to say, wait a minute, we could have 100% in sales and another 30% in sales, 130, that's totally winning. And we actually did some great things. I mean, I built up a little business for myself, originating, but we found so soon, and it was almost like overnight, that, wait a minute, if we move from 130 to 100 and me 0 sales, 100% operations, 100 was exponentially greater than 130, because I got to truly be in my lane, and I got to truly specialize in where my highest and best skill set was. And we've taken that through our team structure over the years, and we share that with so many great originators. How most people think just put a couple salespeople together and you can just grow this super team or this monster group, when in fact, highlighting our talents, specializing in what we do, that's where we really grew exponentially.
Right. And, we get asked often, of course, a lot of branches reach out to us, whether it's with CCM or outside organizations, which of course is flattering. And we get asked all the time, what's the secret sauce, right? That you two have. Well, the first thing is, let's put aside our personal relationship. You're like a brother to me. Okay. And it's just been an incredible journey so far, and God willing, we're sitting here. Well, hopefully you'll have,
maybe my gray hair will match your gray hair at some point.
Exactly. So, but if we think about it, right, what's that secret sauce when we stop and kind of dissect that? And at least in my opinion, the secret sauce, the main ingredient is the singleness of purpose, the division of lanes, putting our team members in a specific lane so they're able to operate at the highest level, like you just touched on it. Me 100% in sales, you 100% in operations. So as you know, we have our rainmakers, we have our advisors, we have those that work in the lab. And when I get asked, what's the chicken stock in the soup, that main ingredient, I have to say our discipline in the structure of the lanes and each team member operating in each individual lane and never crossing lanes. We talk about, we live in a black and white world. Right. There's no gray. Gray's confusion. But then, of course, you raise the ante by increasing our culture, no question about it. I've always talked about, I wouldn't call myself a great leader. I think the skill set I have with leading is just leading by example, leading by structure. But then on the flip side, we have you, we call you the silver tongue, the ability, okay, to see the best in humans, to bring the best out of them and to get them to put maximum effort within the lane. So, tell me about the lanes and your viewpoints on.
Sure. Well, first off, you are a great leader, so don't sell yourself short. Okay. You do lead by example, and you lead in sharing the passion and the desire of what you believe should be the right way. And I think that permeates through the team, the thought process behind things, how you do things. So I did want to just cover that, and then I could talk about the lane part of it. But what I've always felt is everyone has to understand that they could really do anything to the absolute highest level. Someone put their faith in me earlier in my career. My mentor, Eric Wahlberg, who I think you've talked about in the past, he was my mentor growing up in the industry. And as I was processing his loans and growing the company alongside him, he made me realize that anything was possible. And I was young, inexperienced, and naive enough to believe it.
Yep.
And so I've taken that same philosophy in every conversation I've had with our team members, regardless of their role. And I think a lot of people forget that. If you look at originators that are, let's say, trying to build their own team, they may be a great originator and they'll have an assistant, and they'll just tell the assistant what to do. If a problem will come up, they'll fix it, and they'll just be on their way because that's just what they're used to doing. And the approach we've always taken is just a little bit different. We've actually shared our mindset with our team, how we look at every situation. And so regardless of what role someone's in, if we think about the operations side, whether it be a loan processor, a sales assistant, even an underwriter, we start by sharing that winning mindset. And then we always let them know that winning is the only option. And it's not a cliche that we use. And so when they go about what they're trying to do, so if we take a loan processor, for example, we'll know that they're the true heartbeat of that client experience, right? We could do such a great job up front. We help get a buyer under contract, and now they're under contract, ready to close. That processor is critical to that experience. That may be the last thing that they remember before they get the keys to their home. And so having them understand that and having them specialize to be the best they could be in that role, it empowers them. And now they're also in sales, not just the salesperson or the originator.
Right.
And then we translate that to every single role that they're in. Because they're separated in different lanes, when they understand that what I do is going to impact the person next to me, they're going to do it even further. So for example, you talk about the secret sauce we have together.
Right.
I know, being in our operation, that your mindset needs to be 100% clear when you're speaking to our customers, when you're in front of an agent, in front of an audience, at a luncheon, whatever the case may be. And so we've had conversations where you'll be on your way to an event and you'll call me, and our typical conversation is, are we winning? And I'd say, of course we're winning. Now, right before I picked up that phone, I could have found out that a condo was being declined at the last minute because of an email that was sent, or something is happening and the world is on fire. But on that conversation, we're winning.
That's right.
Because I know my role. My role is the operation, and your role is sales, business development, and creating our relationships. And so I'm not going to let my world get into your world. There's no value in that.
That's right.
So I'm going to let you know how great everything is. I'm going to work to fix the situation. And then after the event, I'll say, oh, by the way, if Jane calls you, she mentioned something, we just saved another transaction, all worked out great.
That's right. That's right.
But it's understanding that dynamic and not trying to bring you into what I'm doing.
And what a respect that is. I mean, that's really understanding each other's lane and role. No question about it. It's interesting. We just recently got off of an F13 consulting call, and it's a newer member that's in the team building process. And of course, we go over in detail how to build a team and how to make sure that the teams are staying in their individual lanes. And if you recall, what we were speaking about is not sanctioning incompetence.
Right.
Okay. There's team members that are going to make errors. There's team members that in the beginning of the learning process, they're going to do things a little slower. I think what a lot of originators do is they feel the need to, I'm just going to do it myself instead of having them do it. And so they're sanctioning the behavior. They're not stopping, like what you just said, showing them, giving them the reason of why behind it.
Right.
So of course, they can learn how to do it on their own. So of course, they can do it on their own in scale form. So that's why a lot of originators don't scale, because they have that single mindset of me. I was saying to a group the other day that if you keep selling yourself, you're going to sell yourself.
I love that.
And that's something that originators really have to consider in the team building process. Another thing is that, and it's really what I opened up on, is a lot of salespeople find themselves running a business. And, for those that are true salespeople, we're not necessarily the best owner, operator, business people. So for those that are in the process of building and scaling operations and having that person to come in, whether it be a partner, whether it be an employee, however you want to do it, is so critically important to the process. Because how can you build your business when you're interviewing people? How can you build your business when you're managing spreadsheets and all that? It just doesn't work. Okay, so because of our incredible relationship, it has allowed us to soar to extraordinary levels. And here's the best part: I'm sure you're pretty confident in this. This is just the beginning for the two of us, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. I mean, if you look back, you feel like it's been forever. Some earlier conversations, could you ever imagine where we are today and the things we're doing today? But there's one thing that I think you've always done so masterfully, and I think that's translated into what we do together. It's a story that I'll share about one of our great team members. We were at our appreciation event, I think it was about 2 years ago, and she came up to me and said, "Avi, I just want to tell you, what you and Matt share with us all the time, it really, really works, and I just have to thank you." I had no idea what she was talking about. I said, "Well, it's a great party. You're welcome." She said, "No, you don't understand. You see, you always instill in us the mindset that winning is the only option." And it's not a slogan, and I know it's not a punchline. I know you all say it all the time. But just on the way here, I was talking to my sister, and sadly, she was going through a divorce. So it's a very typical situation. And a lot of things were going wrong, and this didn't work out, and this didn't work out. And I was telling my sister that, it's just going to be okay. I'm not worried about it. And she said, "How in the world do you think it's going to be okay? Look at all these things you just shared." She said, "Well, I know there's just only one option. Winning is the only option." And so, I believe in that. And so I think a lot of times originators don't realize how important it is to not only fix a situation or I'll just do it myself, but share the mentality they have with their team, because they don't realize how much it actually impacts people and how that permeates into every little thing that they do, whether they're solving a client situation, whether it's in their personal life. If they truly want to grow as leaders, we need to share with them the way we think, because then when everyone thinks in the same way, that's where the magic happens. That's when we're all rowing together unconsciously. And so I think when you think about where we are today with the great team we've built and the phenomenal human beings that we have the honor of working with every single day, it starts with letting them know how we think and what we believe in. And as leaders, whether we realize it or not, that's the best we can do.
Avi, let's continue winning.
Absolutely. Forever Giddy.
Forever Giddy.